recommendations that have been submitted to it and that are obviously mentioned in the question in due course. And obviously the Minister understands that Gaeltacht communities view the Department of Community, Rural and Gaeltacht Affairs as being very important to them, particularly the activity and support schemes of both the Department and Údarás na Gaeltachta in the Gaeltacht. Some of those schemes have been in existence for many years. The Irish Language Learners Scheme, for example. The summer colleges not only support the Irish language in the Gaeltacht and nationally, but they also boost the Gaeltacht economy. Without those colleges, the Gaeltacht would be a far poorer place. And of course, the Irish colleges also foster a mutual support and goodwill towards the language on a national basis. It's vital that the accommodation of summer college students in their homes be advantageous to Gaeltacht families. The Irish college industry is a language-centred industry that greatly enhances the tourist industry in the Gaeltacht, also provides significant earnings to Gaeltacht communities whose household and community language is Irish. The Irish colleges also have a positive effect on young people in the Gaeltacht with regard to how they use the language themselves, by virtue of the fact that many of them work in Irish colleges during the summer, and this illustrates to them the advantages of the language, and this in turn preserves the language amongst them. As well as all that, the youth of the Gaeltacht see that their peers from other parts of the country are inspired to learn the language and are inclined to speak it amongst themselves. Of course, the question of education in the Gaeltacht rests with the Minister for Education and Science, and there is full cooperation between my department and the Department of Education and Science in that regard. Having said that, the department administers certain schemes that support the language in the Gaeltacht through the education system. These schemes are reviewed regularly. Support is also provided to Aire Hoscoilíochta Gaeltacht in NUI Galway, which has a central role in community development and in preserving the Irish language in the Gaeltacht. The Minister understands very well, therefore, the importance of education in preserving the Irish language in the Gaeltacht. The Senator is also aware that the Government Committee chaired by the Taoiseach is currently preparing a 20-year strategy for the Irish language and the Gaeltacht. Minister O'Keefe understands the support needed by the Gaeltacht communities to sustain and develop their own language. The policy statement published by the Government in 2006 contained the Government's vision for the language. The 20-year strategy will aim to develop that vision and designate a strategy to implement it. With regard to sustaining Údarás na Gaeltacht's enterprise responsibilities, the Minister would like to remind the Senator that the Department carried out a comprehensive review of the powers and functions of Údarás na Gaeltacht in 2006 in order to amend, as appropriate, the legislation under which the Údarás operates. The Minister invited the public to submit proposals to the Department as part of the review process. 67 submissions were received from the public in that regard. The public's submissions were independently analysed, and the public's opinion will be taken into account if changes are to be made to the structures under which Údarás na Gaeltacht operates. The current situation in regard to this matter is that the issue is now being considered in the context of the discussions of the Government Committee relating to the 20-year strategy that I have already referred to. I don't believe that anyone could question the Government's commitment with regard to the investment made in the Gaeltacht and on the islands in the past number of years, and the improvements that have taken place in those areas as a result of that. 10 years ago, there was a huge lack of capital infrastructure in the islands, particularly with regards to piers, roads, recreational centres and coastal protection. The State has spent over €100 million on the development of infrastructure in the islands from 1998 to date. €11 million has been spent in Donegal, €20 million in Mayo, €7 million in Cork and €62 million in Galway, where most of the populated islands are. This does not include the extra funding provided as joint funding from county councils or specific expenditure from Údarás na Gaeltacht to other state departments and organisations. The result of this expenditure is evident across the country, from Donegal to Cork. The Department of Community, Rural and Gaeltacht Affairs has invested continually in the development of the physical and social infrastructure of the Gaeltacht for many years. Evidence of this can be seen in the many facilities such as community halls, Irish colleges and playing pitches. Under the Strategic Roads Scheme, significant development has taken place on the network of main roads in the Gaeltacht. The Minister is very proud of the progress made with regard to these developments in the Gaeltacht and on the islands. Undoubtedly, we face many challenges in our current economic climate, and with the world economy as it stands. The Senator will understand that it cannot be stated in the current climate that no cutbacks will take place in the various sectors that fall within Minister O'Keefe's remit of responsibility. But what can be said is that The Government's commitment to the Gaeltacht, to the Irish language and to the islands is evident, and this Government will continue to strive to improve the quality of life of those communities and to reinforce the Irish language as a household and community language for the generations to come.
Thank you. Second motion. Question.
Just boil and fuelche horriban and wretched Jerna te wretched again Roinn show hiu kinchu go fiosu agus and Gaeilge mar cheannasaíocht and pobail gang nu on the glunty Roinn a drop where in Roinn and Aire able to rest na go her vim ein kind in the malty at a again board snip agus just more punchy agus came a show agus don chair la faste shilim na will sha go sha englake go will shanador a car test in Gaeilge Africa shinshra or Aire and Roinn pobail to his Ghaeltacht agus go will an fragre shaw a hort a diha naractus emerla niel she englake agus kahi much kenshi in na darlin reached and it's no reflection on any minister or anybody who doesn't have the the ability to speak the Irish language. I have the ability to speak the Irish language because my parents, I was born in Glasgow. My parents moved back to Donegal, and we lived in the Gaeltacht. It was something nearly of birth that I have. It came to me naturally. It comes to me naturally. But when a senator, it's a point of order, Chair. When a senator or any member of the Oireachas asks a question,
you can't have a point of order here now, Senator. Have you a question?
It is the question.
I'm making. Ask
the question of the Minister for the Gaeltacht in relation to Gaeltacht issues. He deserves and is entitled to an answer in Irish. And we should have scoured the corridors of Leinster House to find somebody, a junior minister or a minister, to give that answer. And it is an insult. It is an insult to the people who are out there activating and campaigning for the protection of Irish language rights, that even in their own parliament that they can't get an answer in Irish.
Cara?
Well, just to respond, I apologise for my own personal inability. While I have a certain amount of Irish, I wouldn't feel comfortable or competent to do an adequate response. And I suppose I do regard that as a failing. I suppose my Irish was learned in school. I didn't live in an Irish-speaking community. And I would just make the point. You make a valid point that the question was put in Irish. It is unfortunate that the way the business of the various houses are conducted, that it's relatively short notice, and Minister O'Keefe himself would have, had it been possible, would have responded, and would have obviously responded in Irish and quite competently in that regard, as I think you know. But unfortunately, wasn't in a position to be just here because of the way the business. And I suppose you make one final point. Why wasn't another Minister of State? Well, I suppose because in this particular case, I'm actually in this department with Minister O'Keefe. So my apologies, and I take your point on board.
Senator McFadden. Minister, you do know the motions.
Thank you.